All right, we're talking about moving west today. So the formation of new states reflected the dramatic growth of the region west of the Appalachian Mountains. So that's like the Tennessee area, Tennessee, North Carolina area. Early pioneer families often settled in communities along rivers, and Western families often gathered together for social events. In the late 1700s, a steady stream of settlers began moving west of the Appalachian Mountains. Steamboats ushered in a new age of river travel. In 1825, the Erie Canal opened to connect cities across the state of New York. Let's look. Here's the Erie Canal. New York Governor DeWitt Clinton was the chief backer of the Erie Canal. He promoted the idea of a canal, convinced the state legislature to approve loans for it, and oversaw its construction. The chief engineer, Benjamin Wright, led a crew of self-taught engineers in the design of the canal, and hundreds of men were hired under independent contractors to build it. Canvas White, a canal engineer, discovered a cement that became solid underwater, a finding that speeded construction and lowered cost. The original Erie Canal was a continuous ditch 40 feet wide and just 4 feet deep that ran for 363 miles. You couldn't really get a boat through water that's only 4 feet deep. It had 83 locks and 18 aqueducts. These are raised structures that allowed the canal to pass over rivers or hollows. Once investors saw the first section of the canal built, they were eager to lend money for its completion. It cost a total of about $7 million, which was soon repaid through toll charges. The cost of shipping cargo before the canal was built was around $100 per ton. After the canal was built, the costs fell to less than $10 per ton, so it saved businesses a lot of money. Within 15 years, the Erie Canal was transporting almost 100 million tons of goods a year. Although Erie Canal was greatly enlarged in 1915, railroads eventually replaced canals for major cargo transportation. Today, the canal is part of a much larger canal system called the New York State Canal System. While it is now mostly used for recreation, the Erie Canal continues to be a symbol of American ingenuity and achievement. So here's the Erie Canal. And so now you can see the connection of all the other canals in the area.
Congress approved the building of the road in 1806, and workers began construction in 1811 at the Potomac River in Cumberland, Maryland. The first section of the road from Maryland to Virginia was completed by 1818 at a cost of almost $2 million. Construction continued as funding became available, and the road was completed as far as Indiana by 1838. Finally, in 1840, the road reached as far as Vandalia, Illinois.
Oops. So you can see that they also worked on building a national road that connected different parts of the country and extended past. Here's the Appalachian Mountains right here. And prior to the late 1700s, early 1800s, most of the United States population was here on the East Coast. So it wasn't until about 1825 that we started really moving towards the West. And the people that moved westward, we called pioneers. Life on the frontier lacked many of the refinements of life in the eastern states. Early homes were square log cabins without windows. They usually had fireplaces with mud chimneys and dirt or gravel floors. Furniture was sparse and crudely made. Clothes, tools, and guns were often hung from overhead beams because there were no closets or dressers. Women worked alongside men on the frontier. They worked in the house and in the fields. They gave birth without doctors or hospitals, spun their own thread to make clothes, knitted socks and sweaters, milked cows, and raised vegetable gardens. It was very much a feeling of you're on your own. Communities relied on help from neighbors for everything from building a home to clearing of the land of trees. Pioneer friends gathered to string beans, shuck corn, and attend social events such as square dances. Teaching on the frontier took place in one-room schoolhouses. Teachers had to be both educated and physically fit. School books were hard to come by in early schools. The Bible was often used to teach reading, and spelling books inspired community spelling bees for both children and adults. So here's a short video on West Weird expansion and pioneer life.
Pioneers moved west for a variety of reasons. Some in search of riches, others simply to escape poverty. Some were fleeing the law, others were fleeing oppression. What they all shared was the ability to dream of something different, something better, and the West represented an opportunity for that dream to become a reality.
These were people that packed everything they had into the back of a wagon and went. And they went on faith and in themselves, in their God, in their new country. And they just went out knowing that they could do this.
Well, I think they went west for so many different reasons. But certainly among them would be the belief that you were going to not only have this new life, which you were freer, but you were going to change yourself. You were going to be a new person in the new world. And this dream that you were going to be transformed may have been just a dream, but it certainly motivated a lot of people. And every time they moved west, they were moving to the future and into a new time and leaving the old time behind.
It must have taken an enormous amount of courage, although probably some of them felt that they didn't have anything and so there was nothing to lose as they moved west. And it speaks to the human capacity to take risk and to go forward and to build in spite of all sorts of terrors, real and imagined.
Cautiously, I slipped from under the buffalo hide, got up on my knees and peered over the side of the wagon. There was nothing but land, not a country at all, but the material out of which countries are made. I had the feeling that the world was left behind, and we had got over the edge of it, and were outside man's jurisdiction. Willa Cather.
So now what I want you to do is to go into your Canvas, complete the reading essentials, answer the discussion question, take the quiz, and then complete the Edgenuity module that's assigned for today.